architecture naturally has reached a point where it can evolve and be a greater expression of art.
What we're trying to do with architecture is that everything we do, every form we design has a reason for being there.
So we're not trying to create an architecture that's very determined. It's an adaptive architecture where I think people, like in a village, will find their own way of enjoying it.
With a project like The Lanes, that design thinking, or architecture as art as we call it, has really come to the fore, coupled with this sense of creating vibrancy and a greater sense of community life. The Lanes is situated within the center of the Gold Coast. Its proximity to all the amenity and all major infrastructure is second to none. When we look at the scale that we're creating, we're talking about thousands of residents. It needs to have its own sense of identity. The Lanes is something that we felt needs to embody a new interpretation or a renewal of the village concept. And so it's a very low scale, very open architecture and building forms that connect to the ground plane, interspersed with green space, and they actually enable the entirety of the community to come to the city center.
It is creating a very interesting place for living. So having this very interesting retail precinct actually works in conjunction with the towers and create like an ecosystem for that part of the city. This shape that starts on the ground and kind of grows towards the sky are like objects that kind of mimic plant growth. At the same time, what it does is it articulates all the internal configuration of the apartment.
Big, strong master planning element that came out of that is a linear sequence of open spaces that stretch all the way from the street front right through to the lake. The village itself, like many villages, they have happenstance things occur in them. So not everything's kind of orchestrated in a kind of terribly deliberate way. There's a sort of lucky accident aspect of it. So if people came here, they wouldn't just go to a restaurant and leave. There'd be an ability to explore and go around the lanes, look what's around the corner.
There's always this high-rise coastal fringe in the Gold Coast that drops very rapidly down to a single dwelling. So we see that there was a great potential on this site to have this new density, this mid-rise typology. And we see that could be a new urban pattern for living.
Construction industry also needs to embrace technology to make it more efficient, to make it much more intelligent and clever.
Of course, drawings have always been there, but with 3D software, we're able to communicate with different subcontractors very early on, get a lot of different information, a lot of input.
With technology, I think it'll be the enabler of very different lifestyles and very different forms of architecture. People will be wanting more nature around them. They'll want a sense in a densified city. Perhaps spaces aren't going to get lost, but there's more people trying to utilise those spaces.
Our hope is that the green space becomes a means of reconnecting the community together. Not only the residents, but the community of the Gold Coast has a sense to come and connect to it as well. And it becomes part of their community. It's their space.